Hello, everybody. Good morning. Welcome to Sunrise Daily today. I'm Chamberlain Oso.
Did I hear anyone say, thank God it's Friday? I'm Ayo Makinde. Good morning and welcome.
Why did you run ahead of me? Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily on Channels Television. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo.
And from Abuja, good morning. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
Yeah, guys, what a story was a scenario that played out yesterday. So the Queen Elizabeth II, she's passed. And so Britain, it's the end of an era for Britain. And so they have lost an iconic figure, the linchpin, who has been there for almost, for lots of people, that's what they grew up with, knowing her there. And so expectedly you could see how the world is focused on that and why that is one of the events of occasion of a lifetime, as a matter of fact. And so, but that's why you get to hear people say, look, we're not, it's mixed, celebrating a life, you know, because of how she's lived it, and then also mourning. So you can understand that losing a loved one like that always plays out like that. But yeah, and so that's why you get to see lots of focus. She's head of state to several Commonwealth countries, including Nigeria, as a matter of fact, and so, and rightly so. So the dynamics change over there, across the world as well, I dare say.
Indeed, it was a sad day yesterday, but mixed one for many across the world because of what the Queen represents. I think it's a feeling of sadness as much as it is gratitude. You know, the Queen has lived, she had an illustrious reign, lived a rich life, and stood for, you know, grace. If you think about Queen of England, you think about her grace, the grace she exudes, you know, the dignity with which she carried herself through the years. You know, some people call her Elizabeth the Steadfast, and that was what pretty much she represented. You know, she lived a life of devotion to the throne and to England, pretty much. And those are the things that she'll be remembered for, having carried the United Kingdom and Northern Ireland through quite a number of eras, you know, gentlemen. If you think about post-Cold War, post-World War II, the Cold War, you know, the transition from Great Britain, United Kingdom being part of European Union, you know, through Brexit, the pandemic, you know, 70 years and 214 days, you know, by the count of her Wikipedia page. It's a beautiful life. It's a rich life. And I can only but congratulate the United Kingdom on the morning after the Queen's reign. And you know what they say, long live the Queen. Now we would say, long live the King.
You know, that saying has already begun.
It's already begun.
Yeah, and, you know, it's just a life of legacies, a life of things that you don't want to forget, that you just want to remember. And it's a very interesting system in the United Kingdom, something perhaps worthy of emulation as well. Because, I mean, you look on the one hand, they have a monarchical system in their hands, and they also have a parliamentary system in their hands. So it's a very, very interesting dynamic that is right there. And she's the longest serving, the monarch with the longest reign ever, at least in the history of United Kingdom, as has been said. The question is, of course, naturally, a new page opens with the king automatically becoming, Prince Charles automatically becoming king. The question then is, you know, what's going to change? Mark?
I hope that's a rhetorical question, because apart from the fact that England is now going to have a king, and, you know, there are many, many things around whether or not, well, I think it's already certified that he's going to be taking over. I would like to leave to historians to tell us, and the royal family experts, what they think is really going to change. But it was just a few days ago, we were talking about how the Queen had received and appointed a new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, and how that was, almost run of the mill. The fact that England is used to having women now at the helm of affairs, and it was really no big deal. And I made reference to this Netflix series. For anyone who is seeking to understand her life and maybe finding it too difficult to read, you might want to, I'd highly recommend the Netflix series, The Crown. Very beautifully done series about her life. One of the things I've found most striking is how she was able to manage being a sovereign over the whole of England and beyond, and also managing her home affairs. Now, I think people do not quite appreciate, how, you are queen, you are the head of an entire country. This is a woman who presided over an empire and saw it, gradually, will I say, shrink in size before, we're still going to have a guest who's going to talk about this. Looking at that, and then we saw a lot of former colonies, get their independence, etc. And she presided over that, with a lot of elegance and a lot of grace, as she saw that process through. But then you also know that within a family, there are questions as to, or maybe there are no questions as to who the head of the family is. The head of the family is the man, oftentimes. But here you are queen. And still, you have to manage a relationship with your husband. It was amazing how she was able to pull that off. So much so that she and her husband, Prince Philip, who passed not too long ago, were able to keep a family together. He was a rock, a support. He was everything to her. When he passed, she said she had lost her best friend. To be able to manage that. For me, I found it the most interesting part of the entire series, and how that relationship eventually evolved, how she was able to manage some decisions that had to be taken in the home, still giving her husband the respect that he deserved, and at the same time maintaining her position as queen. Amazing, amazing life of a woman. And when you say long live the queen, indeed, she did live long. She fulfilled those words. 70 years on the throne. I'm happy for the people of the United Kingdom that they were able to pay tribute to the queen at the 70th Jubilee of the queen's reign. I'm glad that she was able to see that, and it would seem that that was some sort of goodbye ceremony already, and she could see the love that her people, expressed towards her. Yes, I know that you now have a lot of people who say they're Republicans, but they're still, for a lot of people, the royal family continues to represent what it represents for the people of the United Kingdom. That symbol of unity, a symbol of their past going into the future, a symbol of stability for a lot of them. Well, again, condolences. But here in Nigeria, when you live for as long as 97 years and spend 70 years on the throne, it's certainly a celebration of life. Ladies and gentlemen.
All right, well, that's it. We'll focus on that much later, as you highlighted. But we'll take a moment and we'll be back with a look at some of the front pages today. New Telegraph is the very first one here. PDP crisis. IU survives sack, wins next confidence vote. Will resolve disputes internally, ascribed to Atiku. NEC approves unified campaign structure. Mum on membership. Wabara now new BOT chair. Jibrin's resignation. Insult to Southerners. Wike. And so you have all of that associated with that lead story, which you see here on the front page today. And then, well, the foreign universities matter. I beg your pardon, the foreign airlines has ended. CBN bars foreign airlines from accessing parallel market for funds repatriation. So there you go. And then beneath that lead story, insecurity. FG beefs up schools security ahead of resumption. Laments scarcity of teachers in Northeast. To spend 31.05 trillion naira on Stabilization Development Master Plan. Armed forces will sustain tempo to contain security challenges. Buhari, not like the insecurity, right? What's this? 5G. Okay. 185 million Nigerians restricted from initial rollout, 15% population within coverage. So it might take a while, but that's the Telegraph today.
The Daily Times newspaper seems to share notes with the New Telegraph today. And what do you have on its front page? Yeah, that's it. PDP NEC calls Wike's bluff, passes vote of confidence on Ayu. Well, I'm not sure it's the way it happened there, calling anyone's bluff, but hey, that's the way it is on the front page of the Daily Times newspaper. Look at the riders. Come out to deny telling me Ayu must resign. Wike challenges Atiku. Says asking BOT chairman to resign an insult. The issue is national chairman. Wabara replaces Jibrin as BOT chair. Timberwell to lose seat as chairman, governors forum. All of this you have on the front page of the Daily Times newspaper this morning. Of course, the story we highlighted is also there. Queen Elizabeth II, UK's longest serving monarch, dies at age 96. That's the Daily Times newspaper today.
And from there, let's flip to the Daily Trust newspapers. It takes a detour from the other papers by giving the Queen a near full-page tribute. You see that huge picture there where she's looking all regal in her crown and sparkling diamonds. And you find the caption, Queen Elizabeth II, 1926 to 2022. Buhari world leaders pay tributes. That's the start of the riders. Life and times of longest-serving monarch. Her ties with Nigeria. How King Charles III will be unveiled. And that's the tribute to the Queen. Also, we find above the picture spread and beneath the nameplate some interesting stories. Insecurity after daring operations, FCT schools ready for resumption. After clearing operations, I beg your pardon, FCT schools ready for resumption. And then you find the second one on the PDP crisis. NEC passes vote of confidence on Ayu. And lastly, this is huge. DSS recovers military uniforms, huge cash from Mahmoud's house. That's the Abuja-Kaduna train victims negotiator who was arrested 2 days ago. And GSS confirmed that he was in their custody yesterday. And this is, what seems a follow-up to that. Cash and military uniforms found in his house. Let's see where that leads us as we wrap up with the review from the Daily Trust newspapers this morning. Maukwe.
Well, let's look at Leadership Friday for you by Elizabeth II. That's how leadership is captioning that story. After 70 years on the throne, Britain's longest-serving monarch dies at 96. You have some quotes there. The death of my beloved mother, Her Majesty the Queen, is a moment of the greatest sadness for me and all members of my family. That is a statement from now King Charles. King Charles mourns as he is named king. Buhari trusts Biden. Other world leaders mourn. British society faces major changes. You might want to flip to page 4 to see some of the changes that they could possibly be facing. They have a number of other stories on the Queen, how the Queen saved my life. That's from Professor Badejo. Life and times of the Queen. Certainly, I'm sure you see lots of pictures today. The papers today might be one to keep for history purposes. Let's leave it there for Leadership Friday.
This Nigeria Next, well, they also follow the same theme as you've seen right there. And, well, look at the kicker. Britain mourns. An era ends. Global homage as UK's longest-serving monarch, Queen Elizabeth II, dies at 96. King Charles III steps in. Prime Minister Truss, death tragic. We'll miss her. So you have all of those just pouring in. That's the big one on the front page here today. Price hike. Tribunal finds multi-choice 25 million naira for contempt. So that story had made the rounds for a while, but that's the latest on that. You might want to check that out. But at the bottom strip, they also keep in tabs of what's happening here locally. Atiku told me, you must go, says Wike, as PDP chairman escapes sack. Wabara becomes acting BOT chair. That's this Nigeria this morning.
The Daily Independent also has the lead story on its front page, only this time it is right above the nameplate. Queen Elizabeth, the longest reigning British monarch, dies at 96. But look at the main story of the Daily Independent newspaper today. PDP crisis. Iyorchia Ayu survives plot to oust him from office. Survives? Escapes? I'm looking for the correlation.
Well, they look for a way to pass the message across in a way they think people will grab it. So
survives.
I guess play
Escapes.
words.
I don't know. Anyway, that's all you have lead there. Look at the riders. NEC passes vote of confidence in party's national chairman. Gives NWC power to populate presidential campaign council. BOT chair resigns. Atiku promises to meet citizens' expectations. Wike rejects BOT chair exit. Insists Ayu must go for justice and equity. The details, again, you'll find on page 29 of the paper today. Right under that picture on the front page, NIMC server breakdown leaves telecom subscribers, passport applicants stranded.
And it did just happen. It's we understand it. It's not the first, and so lots of questions about that in terms of how they inform people, and in order for them to ensure that they do have that adequate information, so you don't plan based on certain things, which is, I don't know, it's something we don't seem to be used to in this part of the world, I guess. So, but
it's not something that is happening for the first time. It's not something that is just happening. No car breaks down without giving you some form of warning, So if the systems are strong enough, I'm wondering. For instance, yesterday morning, I think one of the telcos had a real big issue, such that many people all over the city, and I'm not sure how widespread it was all over the nation. One of the major, well, they're all major anyway, had a major breakdown, and people couldn't use their data, and all of that. So I don't know. Anyway, that's
people lost money.
Oh, most certainly.
Most
certainly.
If it sheds any light or supports this conversation in any way, people have also been expressing concern about how elections will be conducted in areas that do not have broadband, and how INEC should come out and be open about it, and talk about how that can be resolved such that people in those areas will not be disenfranchised in 2023. And that supports what you said. These things don't break down without warning. So this is warning now for those concerned, to address the situation.
Well, that the bit you mentioned, I think that one has since been addressed and readdressed by INEC. That look, we'll update it. If you find yourself in a place where there isn't a network, it is automatic that it will update once you get into a space where there is network. But then, I think a lot more parts of Nigeria is 2G covered. More places are 3G covered, but those rural areas most certainly have at least 2G. And I think the network that is being used,
2G compliant,
that,
basically.
2G compliant, basically. So to a large extent, maybe that will be something.
Even deep in the hinterland.
Exactly. Yes.
You're sure.
So long as, well, I'm not sure. I've not been there, but so long as you have a network service in that locality, should be and it's 2G compliant.
Good old hinterland, huh?
Wow. Okay, so that's that on the front page, and several other stories on the front page that you can choose yourself, including this one. Court extends order stopping Buhari NBC from shutting down 53 broadcast stations. That's Daily Independent today.
And from Daily Independent, let's take a quick look at Nigerian News Direct this Friday morning, and it also leads with the big PDP story. PDP crisis, Sambo Atiku, 395 other NEC members pass vote of confidence in IU as Wike dismisses BOT chairman's resignation, insists IU must go. You'll find that story on page 3 of the Nigerian News Direct. But let's quickly go above the nameplate where you'll find this one. 2023 census. FG spends 21 billion naira. I guess that should be on mapping. That's attributed to the Vice President, Professor Oshinbaju. And right after that, you find another. Well, let's take, the global story. Also above the nameplates, Queen Elizabeth II dies at 96 as Prince Charles becomes Britain's king. And lastly, before we exit the Nigerian News Direct, you'll find this one. Court extends order stopping Buhari MBC from shutting down 53 broadcast stations. That's Nigerian News Direct for you this morning.
Well, let's take a look at Vanguard newspapers. They also have politics for you as a lead story. PDP crisis, Governor Wike kicks as IU survives. Says Jubreen's resignation of no effect. Reveals what Atiku told him over state of party. BOT chairman Jubreen out, Wabara in. Let's resolve our problems internally. Atiku begs aggrieved members. NEC approves campaign structure, focus on grassroots mobilization, MUM on membership, leadership. You'll find all of the details on page 5 for you. They also have the story, which is in pictures there. The world mourns as revered monarch Queen Elizabeth II dies at 96. It's right there, 1926 to 2022. Prince Charles becomes king. The story is on page 37 of the paper. Regional government system can't help Nigeria anymore. That's according to Yakasai. Ohaneze, Afenifere Pandef disagree. If you look on top of the nameplate there, you also find some detail as to why the DSS, or perhaps Interpol, brought back the Kaduna train negotiator and also the head of a media house. Large foreign currency, military materials recovered from Mamu's house. That's according to the DSS. The story is on page 7 for you. A number of other stories right there as well. Lawan, no going back on report of our monitoring team to Yobe North. That's according to INEC. So have we had the last of it then? You might want to flip to page 8 to see just how that pans out. Look at this from Mr. and Mrs. I mean, how will we not take Mr. and Mrs.? It's a Friday. But just leave it. We'll take it in a moment. Let's look at what Vanguard Sports has. Amushan retains Diamond League, wins 100-meter hurdles. She truly has forgotten how to lose. That is on the back page for you, making waves everywhere she goes. Chelsea confirmed Graham Potter as manager. So that is also there for all the sports lovers. So, Mr. and Mrs. now. Mrs. says, what? Your friend attacked a man because he made a pass at his wife? Violence won't solve anything. One uses one's head in a situation like that. And Mr. says, of course, he used his head. He head-butted the man twice. Oh, let's leave it there for Vanguard newspapers. I don't think
Oh dear.
The head was used.
That's violence.
There was a use of it. She said use your head, right?
Violence against men.
That's interpretation.
Violence by men against men. We're in support of the man now.
Exactly.
So let it be on record.
The Guardian. For now, let's look at what the lead story. Well, look at that big story first. The Queen dies. Long live the King. So you have that almost everywhere. And then you see the lead story. PDP, IU survives as NEC passes confident vote. Wike defiant. BOT chairmanship. Walid steps out. Wabara steps in to placate South. I'm not aware about Makinde's replacement of Tambuwal as PDP Governors Forum Chair, says party spokesman. Are your PDP happy with the emergence of Makinde as chair of the party Governors Forum? Interesting, isn't it?
Honestly.
Wike vows to sustain fight until Ayu exits office, says BOT chairman's resignation a distraction charade. Atiku wants crisis resolved within party's constitution. You cannot destroy Rivers APC, Eze tells Wike. So, and then this bit, I think you highlighted it previously, but their version, it says, court extends order stopping Buhari NBC from shutting down broadcast stations. So that you need to keep an eye on that one as you move forward. So that is The Guardian today, which ends a look at some of the dailies here today. We're back in a moment. Stay with us.
Critical decisions must be made by the People's Democratic Party, and members of the Board of Trustees are arriving the party's National Secretariat in Abuja for a meeting, the first time after the party's convention. The meeting is to hold behind closed doors, and Mr. Walid Jibrin arrives to chair the gathering as chairman of the BOT. But no sooner had the meeting commenced than words about his resignation began to circulate, and a video of him announcing his resignation is also made available to journalists by some party members.
Me, Senator Walid Jibrin, I'm stepping down as the chairman of BOT, please. I'm stepping down to make things easier for all of us.
He is replaced by former President of the Senate, Mr. Adolphus Wabara. As the BOT meeting ends, the party's National Executive Council meeting begins, and the national chairman, Mr. Iyorchia Ayu, chairs the meeting, which is attended by the party's presidential candidate, Mr. Atiku Abubakar, former Vice President, Mr. Namadi Sambo, some present and past state governors, legislators, and other party stalwarts. The change of BOT leadership takes center stage as the meeting discusses unity.
This party is famous for settling all disagreements and going on to win elections in the past. This time is not an exception. I'm happy that the Nigerian people are interested in our party. We need to focus on the issues that worry the Nigerian people.
The acting BOT chairman, distinguished Senator Wabara, in a big family, even in micro and small family, you have family issues. What is important is how those issues are resolved. And for us in PDP, we have the mechanism, and we are working towards resolving all of those issues soonest.
The victory of the party in the 2023 general election is also discussed as the PDP National Executive Council passes vote of confidence in the Ayu-led National Working Committee, despite the calls for his resignation.
Those in favor of the motion of a vote of confidence on the Iyorchia Ayu-led National Working Committee say aye. Those against say nay. The ayes have
On his part, Mr. Atiku Abubakar says the PDP constitution must be respected by the party's members in resolving the crisis within the party.
As a political party, we have our constitution, we have our rules, we have our regulations. I want to urge that no matter the level of disagreements, our disagreements should be resolved within our constitution, within our rules, within our regulations, and within the precedents we have already set up for conflict resolution.
Senator Walid Jibrin has offered himself as a sacrificial lamb. But whether this will settle the crisis in the party is what we do not know for now. But perhaps time will tell. Emperor Simon, Channels Television News.
We're going to start from there, but yes, it will be in Abuja before we move on to the next guest. But for now, Mark Ware.
Thank you, Chamberlain. Excuse me. We have with us here Mr. Eddie Olafeso, who is a former zonal chairman of the PDP in the Southwest. Good morning and welcome to Sunrise Daily this morning.
Thank you, Mark Ware. It's nice having you here. To be here.
Well, quite a lot went down at the NEC meeting of your party yesterday.
Yes.
Before now, people had thought that the NEC meeting was not going to hold. But eventually, how were you able to persuade members that it was indeed necessary for the NEC meeting to hold?
What I saw yesterday is a resurgence of hope, of commitment, of ensuring that we prepare the party for the 2023 election. The conviviality, the friendship, is very, very infectious, and decisions taken provides the opportunity for us to continue to deal with those things that might be challenges for us in the future. I'm so glad that the party is stronger now. And for those pessimists that thought yesterday will be the end of the party, it's a wake-up call that we all have to work together to be able to, bring our party out of opposition to taking, over government, where we can effect a change in a situation that can provide hope for the millions of Nigerian people that are in despondency today.
Well, you talk about an atmosphere of conviviality. What we saw also, and was maybe unexpected, was the resignation of the chairman of the board of trustees of your party.
Yeah.
And there was speculation that that was done in order to try and make peace, appease the other side, which has been aggrieved for quite a while. Was that a thinking?
Really, the party has mechanism to continue to reevaluate things, to position things, to reposition things. And exactly what happened yesterday is to ensure that we have that opportunity of looking at certain areas that we can actually begin to reposition. The new energy that Senator Adolfo Wabara will bring into the game going to 2023, and the hope that this renewed vigor in our party will continue to do a lot of things. Let me tell you, it's an ongoing process. Peace is an ongoing process. It can only be attained by constant reevaluation of our position.
I understand that. What I'm asking is whether that was done in an attempt to try and appease the Wike, would I say Wike faction? I'm very reluctant to use that word because I do not think that your party is factionalized. However, he's certainly aggrieved himself alongside a number of other governors are aggrieved within the party. So was this an attempt to try to appease them?
Yeah, we have to appease ourselves from time to time, look and evaluate at the challenges they are throwing, and I think the energy that everybody is bringing in is what can redefine the party. And Governor Wike is not aggrieved in a way that he wants the party destroyed. And believe me, I will not come here to criticize either A or B. As an elder of the party, our desire is to bring everybody together. If every step we take, every inch of the way goes into ensuring that we bring everybody together, so be it. And I am very, very confident that sooner or later, like I said, these are not crises, they are issues. We need to reevaluate. A party must, on the basis of argument, discussion, communication, and questions, begin to redefine itself. You build an institution that will be very lasting on the basis of criticism. And so what he is saying is not about individual.
What
it's
who
not,
is saying?
What Wike is saying is
what
that
he's arguing for.
the argument is such that there must be equity, there must be fairness. And if there is equity and fairness, and then everybody must all be inclusive. And the inclusivity is what we're finding the channel to bring everybody together. And as far as I'm concerned, that is even critical to the Nigerian people, because we need to, as quickly as possible, at least come together to continue to provide alternative, options to these for the situation we have today.
You know, when my colleague ended that report,
yes.
when he ended the report, he said whether this will, make peace, only time will tell. We didn't have to wait for too long yesterday.
Yeah.
There was a swift reaction on the part of the River State governor, and I'm sure that our producers will have that on standby for us to listen to. He wasn't having any of it, and he made that very clear, that the position of the chairman of the party and the position of the BOT chairman are two different things. And the Board of Trustees chairman is an advisory capacity. So I think we should just listen to him too.
If the presidential candidate comes from the north, that he will resign by the convention of our party, that the candidate of our party, the chairman of our party, will come from the south. When the North Central met in the house of Governor Balab Muhammad, the governor of Bauchi State, he said so there. When he made a caucus of the Senate, he told them that when we finish our convention on a Saturday to Sunday, the candidate of the party came to see me in my house in Abuja on Monday, around 10:30 a.m. And that is what I don't like in this country. The candidate told me, I said, listen, I want us to work together. And then he said, look, you must go. I said, why? He said, because when a candidate comes from the north, the chairman will come from the south. And I'm saying, implement what you told me. What offense have I committed? What offense have I committed? This is what he told me. I challenge the presidential candidate to deny this. They have today told the BOT chairman to resign. Who is talking about chairman of BOT? What is the role of the BOT? BOT is an advisory body. We have never zoned BOT. But what we are saying, the position we are talking about, which all of us agree, is the chairman of the party. As it is today, is the presidential candidate or president and chairman of the party. The chairman of the party and the candidate or president, as the case may be, are those who will sit down and take decision. The candidate is from the north. The chairman is from the north. Who will represent the south in decision making? I will continue to fight this fight. This injustice is enough. We cannot continue to swallow this.
Well, you heard him.
Yes.
In no uncertain terms, he's
Loud
expressed
and clear. Loud and clear. The truth is, everything must be done through a process in recognition of the constitution of the party, the constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, and the electoral law. There are certain decisions you cannot jump at taking, and it has to go in line with the dictates of the constitution. Even when there are meetings by individuals, it still has to be ratified by the majority of the party. At NEC, that's the highest decision-making process. NEC must have reevaluated what is going on with a view of ensuring that gradually we get to the destination Governor Wike is clamoring for. He has his own rights as a governor, a performing governor of the party, and the party must be careful in order to weigh, weigh certain decisions to be taken so that eventually we don't infringe on our own guiding principle. For me, what is critical, what is important at this moment is to ensure that we reassure Nigerians that the drift in governance and the misery that people are going through on a daily basis are resolved by the election of February 2023.
Well, you haven't finished reassuring those within your party.
Yeah, but let me tell you.
That's the big question. For a number of Nigerians who are observing your party,
it has never
they're wondering, how do you want to reassure us?
It has never been possible in history.
If you haven't kept word to members of your party about certain promises that you have made.
It has never been possible in history for a party to have 100%, cooperation, either you say cooperation on agreement on any matter. People will have a different opinion. We're talking about convergence, and it's coming together gradually. It is not something you can just snap and it happens. It's human social interaction and relations and political, connectivity. I am telling you that we get there. I want us to focus on the challenges this country is facing today and how all of us can resolve it. That is very important. Okay. And that's the reason why I opened up by telling you that if you were there yesterday and you equally told us that people were thinking it would not happen, it will not hold, we are moving every step of the way. By the end of the day, we will get to a convergence between Governor Wike's position and the position of the other members of the party, and the NEC will take a majority decision that will be satisfactory to all parties.
Let's flip this conversation now to Lagos.
Thank you, Mark. Let me begin by asking a question based on what you just said now. Is that to say that the decision that's already been taken by the NEC is not satisfactory to everybody?
Of course, as it is, and with Governor Wike's comment, governing, managing a party is a process, and he has already laid his own demands on the table. The leadership will still, BOT, the National Working Committee, will still take a look at what is going on while we focus on the critical, responsibility of ensuring that we rescue this country from where it is today, that is not satisfactory to everybody. So like I said, there is no time we're going to take a decision that everybody will be 100% in agreement. So we carry each other along by engagement, by constantly talking to one another, by ensuring we leave the door open. And I must, admonish all of us. This is beyond individuals. It's beyond the party. It's a Nigerian problem. It's a Nigerian situation. We must focus on those critical things than, the issue of always at loggerheads with one another. We must resolve our problem within the confines provided by constitution of the party in a way that it doesn't become a public, issue, and then suddenly it escalates into what might lead to a division within the rank and file of the party.
Okay.
I think everybody that is contesting this matter today must recognize the fact that Nigerian people, the ordinary man on the street, those disinherited and those that have
we'll get to those other issues, I'm pretty certain that everyone, agrees along the line of the, conversation about the concern for Nigerians and all. But you also mentioned earlier in response to Marquez's question, having listened to Governor Wike's position, that look, this position of the national chairman was made known to 3 different classes of people: governors, senators, and himself personally in a private conversation. I mean, that's of course by the candidate of your party. The question then, when you say everything needs to go through a process, were those processes in consideration when those, in your opinion, when that commitment was being made by the national chairman and by the presidential candidate of your party?
Thank you very much for that question. And the truth is that no matter the decision you take, at the National Working Committee level, at the Governors Forum, at every, structure of the party, must come to the NEC for ratification. And the critical part that unless NEC takes a decision, you cannot on your own decide, until they have, taken a decision that this is where the party is going. That is why we said it's a higher decision-making process. So let us look at the agreements, reached by either the candidate or
it wasn't an agreement per se, Mr. Olafisi. Just a second. My apologies. My apologies. You talked about a process for everything. I'm just wondering what that process are, based on those conversations, perhaps informal conversations. Just a second. It would seem like the NEC already took a position.
Okay.
Yeah, the NEC already took a position and said, okay, we have confidence in this, in the national chairman. But from what you're saying, it would seem like, okay, we have confidence in him, only that there are some issues to take. Having taken this position of a vote of confidence, what next, given that, there is still so much discomfort in some quarters?
The NEC will continue to gauge and measure the thermometer of reactions and will continue to, on its own, regulate itself. And when a decision is taken today, you look out at how it impacts and affects, the party. And at every point in time, there can be a meeting of NEC, either to reevaluate, to rescind, or take a further decision on it. As of yesterday, the NEC decided that, at this time, at this moment of the struggle to rescue and redefine Nigeria, that what is critical is for all of us to collectively move on. Why certain mechanism within the party, which is not supposed to be a public, discussion, will continue to go on. Yesterday, you had our presidential candidate, you had the chairman of the Governors Forum telling the world that even in families there are disagreements, but we must, in a civilized manner, move on to resolve these matters, to be stronger, to be better, to be able to focus on what is critical and important in revamping and developing this country. I feel that we all should be mollified by what is going on in this country and the level at which we have run down the entire system. And that is far more important than, going into, minute details of how we arrive at our conclusions. The NEC, in its wisdom, already took a decision that IU will see through this moment, and they have given him a vote of confidence, and that is it. What I'm appealing to all of us, politicians, the masses of the people, media people, is to allow political parties take their decisions and walk through it so that they can continue to look at what works and what does not work. And on our own part, we continue to engage all our people. They have been integral part of development within the party, and nobody is going to be left behind. So I will really, coming here, want to begin to focus on what do we do from here on to change this country. And that is far more important than any other discussion. And I cannot come here, like I said earlier on, to continue to say this is right and that is wrong. We have mechanism to tell each other what is right and what is wrong. And that's exactly what we have been doing. Behind closed doors, unknown to the media, we have been talking to one another. Emissaries, individuals have been talking to one another. I'm close to all parties in this party, and I know fully well that our constant, concern is to bring everybody together. And that is exactly what we're going to achieve.
Indeed, you have said that party will be consulting, gauging the thermometer, if I could use your words now. But I want you to answer pointedly, even though NEC has taken its decision and said that we repose confidence in IU. What, in your view, would be the best solution to resolving this crisis between the Rivers State governor and, on the one hand, and the national chairman of the party on the other hand?
I'm an individual in this party, a member of NEC. The decision taken by NEC will constantly be what rules the party. But as a person in this party that wants peace, I want all of us to sheath our sword and think first of those Nigerians that do not have the kind of privileges we are, enjoying today, that are disinherited. I'm repeating that, disinherited. Their children dropping out of school. They cannot feed appropriately. They cannot move from one spot to the other. Which one comes first, the survival of the nation or an intractable war of, of positions and, power sharing? To me, it's far more important for us to engage ourselves and please cool down the temperature of conflict amongst ourselves.
All right, we need to bring in, pardon me, we need to bring in Senator Olakanwogo, who is a member of your party. He is a member of the reconciliation team. He's attended the meetings, including the ones in London and here. He joins us from Port Harcourt. Good morning, Senator. Thank you for joining us on the program today. Well, you're aware of the several decisions that has been taken by different organs of the party. Having been in several meetings trying to sort and address all those issues and concerns raised, what are your thoughts about those decisions that have been taken so far?
Well, good morning. We've come a long way, and this process has just been dragging on. It's quite surprising to me because, in a way, you hear this phrase, beating around the bush. We seem to be beating around the bush. Very little thing that we can just deal with, but we've been going in circles over it. At the beginning, it was clear that the party has a way of balancing offices. We've been sensitive to what regions we have, the north, the south, and in fact, these zones, essentially, our offices are distributed along those lines. And this was a clear position. The presidency or the candidate comes from one side, the party chairman will come from the other, and it was difficult for them to agree where the party chairman would come from at the beginning, just because we didn't know where the candidate would come from. But our constitution actually had insisted that power should rotate. So there was a preponderance of opinion that the candidate would come from the south. And so the party chairman was sent to the north. It turned out that at the time of the primaries, the candidate came from the north. And from that point, there was the expectation that the party chairman will shift, chairmanship of the party will shift to the south. And that was started by the current chairman himself, Yosha Ayu, who said, I will move from office and allow you to go to the south. The true to what the governor of Rivers State said, the candidate of the party had said himself that it was right, that it should, the office should move to the south. This was all designed to create a sense of equity and fairness. Today, people are changing position. And from what the NEC has just done, it's the lack of the capacity to do what's right. The party today, PDP, has broken two camps, those with Governor Wike, those with the candidate of the party, and a good number of patriotic party men who are just in the center. They swing from side to side, depending on how the arguments are going. This is not going to help the party. We are going to see this sustain and go on till almost the elections, and it's not the right thing to do. A party that wants to take power and wants to show that it's ready must find the courage to do what is right. A simple thing.
Yeah, all right. So, Senator, now that these actions have been taken, you still maintain that the party can and should do what is right. Now, in this circumstance, how or what exactly would you consider what is right?
First of all, I find it sad and regrettable that they had to hound the chairman of the BOT out of office. This is an old man whose office was not clearly consequential and was not in issue. But he's been hounded out just to create a picture as though an office has finally come to the south.
So he didn't offer to resign by himself?
No, he was hounded out. It took days. The man has been resisting and fighting, insisting that his office was not the issue. He was practically hounded out of office. He had no choice. The pressure that was put on him from every quarter just to make sure that Ayu is sustained, it was incredible. And it's sad. We are trying to do things to create a picture that is unfortunate. The BOT chairman, that's a respected old man, but that was not the office that the South was demanding. That was not the office that was in play. The office that is in play is the office of the chairman of the party. And Ayu himself knows that he cannot sustain that office. His NWC met a few days ago, and all of them, most of them told him he had to go. They debated it in his own for several hours in the NWC. In fact, it was even suggested at the time that the deputy should preside because he was the one who was being accused by the members of his own NWC. Several organs of the party have told Ayu that he cannot keep it. For the sake of the party, people have been pleading with him, do the needful. A few days ago, the gubernatorial candidates of the party visited Governor Wike. Interestingly, literally everyone agreed that the right thing to be done has to be done. There is no individual who is saying today, sustain Ayu in the office. Everybody says, we want to win an election. Give the South what's due to the South, live with the North what's due to the North, and let us have a united party. Recall that at a time of the primaries of the APC, 10 governors of the North agreed that for national unity, the presidential candidate should come from the South. And all of them marched in force to move on to make Asiwaju get the ticket. They didn't play the North or the South. Today, we find in PDP, people trying to keep everything in the North.
Senator, wait, when you say that no one is saying sustain Ayu in office, isn't that what the NEC just did?
What has happened is a group of leaders of our party feeling that they will hurt Ayu personally, not looking at what's best for the party, decide to trade the BOT chairman, trade the position of the Governors Forum by the resignation of Tambuwal, hoping that something can assuage the South. What the South asks for and what's due to the South is not what is being given to the South.
All right.
But there is an attempt just to sustain Ayu in office. People are trying to see whether they can do it. Ayu has, in the course of presiding as national chairman, of course, giving favors to people who produce candidates here and there in the last primaries. And there's a willingness to, people cannot look him in the eye and say what's true. But at the back, a lot of them say what he's doing is not right. And we know that the holistic picture is that it's not about individuals. It's about what's right to build our national unity.
All right, Senator, we will take it from there when we return in a couple of minutes. Stay with us. Welcome back. We're with Senator Olakawogu, who is a member of the Reconciliation Committee of the PDP. Well, Senator, look, if I understand some things about some decisions usually taken by politicians, these ones that I've just played out, they would have been thought out for a very long time. So it does appear as though these decisions that they've taken, they are moving on. So, because if a certain group were demanding for the chairman to go, and then the NEC meets and comes up with this decision, doesn't it clearly say that this is what the party wants to do? This is how they want to go. They don't want to do, take the other decision, which is letting the chairman step down. So how or what else can be done? Because when you say the right things should be done, because it will come across to a lot of people, or at least those who are happy with this decision, that this is the best possible way to proceed. Other than that, they will interpret it as tantamount to wanting to pull the structures and then hurt the party's chances for the elections.
Well, Chamberlain, what we have been talking about is how to unify the party so we can do an election. and succeed at that election. The two leaders today are President or Vice President Atiku Abubakar and Governor Wike. They met in London and this matter was discussed. Recall that last time I was on this forum, I was advocating that it was about time they had a face-to-face meeting and dealt with these issues. They met. And by some providence and the goodwill of them, I was at that meeting and I even kept notes at that meeting. This matter came up and they both agreed that IU will go. The only issue that was outstanding was the modalities. There was an understanding that there were legal implications, procedural implications, and it was agreed that both parties should perfect the procedure. What's strange to me is since that meeting, without any further communication, the next thing is our principal, the candidate of our party, is sitting over a NEC meeting and a decision is taken to pass a vote of confidence on IU. These are the things that bring mistrust between people. If at the last meeting you agreed on something and you had said you move on from there to do a few things to put the party together, how helpful is this outcome that we have just witnessed, this passing of vote of confidence? As for vote of confidence, they are normal things. Almost every chairman that has been removed from our party, his removal was preceded by a vote of confidence. So vote of confidence in itself doesn't speak much. But for me, it's the trust building process. The fact that we are trying to bring, look, out of 13 governors, only 3 were there. There are many critical party leaders who did not participate in this meeting. And they are not there. You heard that earlier on, Chief Bode George stormed out of the Board of Trustees meeting. And it was many people who are stakeholders in our party did not attend this. That is why I told you that the party is broken into those pro-Wike, those pro-Atiku, and just other leaders of the party who are trying to make sense of what's going on. But for me, it is the building of trust between these two leaders that can bring the totality of our party together and move things further. This was a unilateral action by a group, and they have their reasons for doing it. I mean, if you're the candidate of the party and you think this process will lead you to victory, you're free to do what you want to do. After all, it's victory we seek. But I don't see it like the best way.
Yeah, Senator Wago,
yes.
Like you, other members of the party, like Mr. Nonoju, who was here yesterday, also believe that the best thing to do is for the national chairman of the party to step down. But don't you think that would have consequence? Because if you look at the list of the National Working Committee of members of the PDP, you find that your deputy national chairman is from the South, your national secretary is from the South, your deputy national treasurer is from the South, your national finance secretary is from the South. In fact, the list of National Working Committee members has a healthy spread of members from all parts of the country. So won't this come with consequence, courting trouble from other parts of the country who now feel that if you got a national chairman from the South and all of these other offices from the South, it's unevenly distributed then?
No, there are ways of dealing with this. The more extreme solution is to say swap all the offices, all southern offices go to the north, all northern offices come to the south. That's the extreme solution. And that was what was done to bring IU into power. The offices under secondaries were completely swapped. But in this case, I recall that Governor Wike proposed gave a solution to this problem that was of limited impact. It was simply that the national chairman will move to the south. If the northerners insist that, okay, we want probably the secretary to move to the north, because usually too, if you have chairman here, secretary go, if they request for it, I'm sure nobody will really say no, because that will be within their rights to do, so do. But the more critical thing is that the chairman of the party and the presidential candidate are never from the same geopolitical zone, never from the same either north or south. They break into the opposite side. And that's all has been on the issue. So it's not, in fact, it's not even about you. You cannot remove the candidate. But the office of chairman is easy to do. It's a thing that the NEC itself will have just said, okay, for this reason, we ask you, because we want to win an election, it's becoming imperative that this office moves to the south.
Okay.
And then the person in the south.
I'm interested in how this will solve the problem, but first let's go to Olorugun Olafeso. I'm particularly interested in how he would respond to some of the issues that you have raised, especially when you say that the decision taken by members of the National Executive Committee of the party is not to hurt the feelings of the national chairman. Olorugun, I'd like you to respond to that.
Thank you very much. Senator Owogo is a friend and a brother that one respects, and I believe that at that level that we have served this party, our concern should be for unity. No matter the decision, whatever decision you take outside NEC that has not been ratified by NEC is a personal decision which you need to sell. And today, the NEC already took a decision that IU, they have passed the vote of confidence on IU, and they have even put together the organization structure of the campaign, for the presidential campaign for 2023. And all of us at this time must actually work hand in hand to ensure that we succeed. Let me ask Senator Wogu, where will he get the approval for what he's clamoring for, but for NEC? So if in essence, decisions were taken behind, is he saying that unilaterally, that decision must be impressed on NEC and it must have to be carried out? Managing a party is a very fragile thing. And that is the reason why we have to be careful about our suggestions and what we think could be done. And it's going to create a lot of constitutional crisis, not only for the party, but for the perception it's going to create across the country. I want to appeal to him, if he's a member of the Reconciliation Committee, and I see that his position is so absolutely immovable, then we have a challenge. And he is a generational leader, younger, and has the opportunity to inherit what is going on and continue to perfect it. Without a stronger institution, without our constitution being respected, we will run into absolutism, and that creates further problem for the future. I want to appeal to every one of us. I don't like it when we come on television and what we're discussing.
But those issues have been in the news for a while. Just a second, Dr. Olafeso. And it's something that everyone, both within the NWC, the NEC, and others, are also aware of. I have a question for you, but I'd like you to allow Senator Walker to quickly respond to the issues that you have raised, perhaps the question that you even asked him directly. Senator Walker.
Well, it's interesting when people want you to do the unjust thing, ignore justice, ignore fair play, just so that we can get along. It's so easy. Let's leave it, let's do this. You want to win an election. Does the sentiment of the South matter to you? You have votes in the North, you also have votes in the South. You are going to campaign in the South. Then you step on the podium and say the national chairman is from the North, the national candidate is from the North, presidential candidate. And then you just continue to tell people, let's see, we can do whatever we want to do internally. It's internal party affairs. But the votes will be done by the Nigerian people, who will see how we are set up, who will judge us whether we're a truly national party or we just are a continuation of a one-sided leadership affair. So all this talk of let's try and see, well, why don't you call out injustice and tell people to do the right thing? I am telling you as a person who was there that the presidential candidate and Governor Wike sat, and it was agreed that you will go. And what was in issue was the process. Now, if the same presidential candidate is presiding over a meeting where a vote of confidence is being passed on I am confused. I'm asking what's going on.
On that same, when you talk about process, just a second, Senator Walker, when you talk about process, I'd like you to make it a little clearer. Because just recently, Senator Dino Melaye also said that, look, when we talk about process, the process is, according to the constitution of your party, that when the national chairman leaves, the deputy national chairman will take his place. And the deputy national chairman, according to him, is also from the north. So what then should happen?
Yes, and that was why it was proposed that the chairman will resign, the deputy national chairman will step aside, the deputy national chairman South will take over, then the deputy chairman North, if he wants to, will be reinstated. It's just a process of getting the chairmanship to the South with only Ayu stepping away. Others will keep their offices. If that will take us out of this current logjam and give this party that sense of national unity without taking us to a convention.
Okay. Senator, thank you. Dr. Olafeso, is that process enough for you?
Yeah. You say what?
Is that
you can imagine the
windy
windy situation is going to bring the party, the top seat of it, the chaos that the suggestion might actually bring. I am pleading with the senator that we must see the other side of the coin. Nobody says there should be inequity. Nobody says there won't be fairness. But we're saying that the process, like you rightly mentioned, my brother, must be strictly looked into so that there will be a constitutional crisis. For me, this is not the moment we should be talking about all this. It's the moment we should re-engage with the Nigerian people and come up with a new deal.
Would you say the people within you?
I'm not saying they are dishonest. They have the right to their own agitation.
I'm asking that because we have heard quite a number of sides to this particular story right now, and we have, I mean, it's been recorded on tape. The national chairman of the party himself admitted that he will step aside if the candidate of your party emerges from the north. Why do people find it very difficult to keep to their words?
Look, Maokwe, I've told you, people reach agreements, when they hold their various meetings. But the body that's entitled by Constitution to review and come up with a decision is NEC. So whatever they have decided out there...
No, hold on. So you're saying that if the national chairman of the party...
I'm aware of the details.
Or if you were to say...
I told you...
Just a moment. I want to clarify that if you were to say today, assuming you held a position that, look, for whatever reason, I'd like to resign, the NEC will stop you from doing that?
No, but if the man says he's not resigning and NEC sees the reason why he said he's not resigning and they take his decision about that, well, the man said, no, you're wrong, I must go. No, I was there and we knew how we arrived at this juncture. We have to be sincere with each other if we're going to, rally and build this party to winning the presidential election in 2023. The candidate himself, explained virtually everything to NEC yesterday how we arrived here. Okay. And admonished all of us, in this disagreement, there will be a process to it. We will get there. I told you when we started that we will get there. But the process must be met. We cannot cut and nail.
There'll be questions as to whether that word of we will get there will even mean anything to those people. But let me ask Senator Wogo, what exactly is the game plan here? Because some people will say, if you continue to hold on to this extreme, it has grave implications, that it could begin to isolate the governor of Rivers State and a few others who will now seem like extremists within the party. Do they intend to bring down the house on themselves?
Well, first, when I hear people, and with respect to my friend there too, when I hear people come and defend the indefensible, a man gives his word for something and there's a lack of honor, and people come to defend it. Even if the entire NEC or the convention of the party says a lie is the truth, it doesn't make that lie the truth. That the NEC of the party came out to say we stand by Ayu, when Ayu himself had given conditions precedent that if this happens, I will do this. And it shows a lack of honor, and we cannot call it out. Then something is wrong with us. And it begins to haunt or replay why PDP is in trouble. We must look at Nigerians and say our word is our bond. How can we be led by people who have no honor? who cannot keep their word right before the Nigerian people. We are going to an election. We are saying trust us, and yet you cannot honor your own word. And our neck will sit and give, confirm a lie as policy of our party. My brother, you should not even defend it. I think you should really consider sitting on a public TV and telling Nigerian people that you stand by this, or that is the position of our neck. Where is justice? Where is our honor?
Senator Wongo, that's not my question to you. That wasn't my question to you.
I will go to your question
I
now.
asked you, you said,
I will go to your question.
So you'll get your turn in a moment. The question I asked you is, what exactly is the game plan? This is September. By the end of this month, the campaign season will be in full swing. And your party is still trying to deal with an internal crisis. Yesterday, we saw a move towards appeasement. It might not be what exactly the governor is asking for, but it looks like there is some move to try and appease him. There are questions as to if there is a move here, if there is an appeal on this side, that for whatever reason, be it legal, be it technical, be it emotional, that this will not be the time to sort this out. Do you intend to pull down the house of the PDP? Because some people will say that whatever happens, this will also have implications for the PDP in Rivers State.
Well, let me just put it in two ways. First, Governor Wike has made it clear that he's not leaving the PDP. So we should note that position. Two, when the Guba candidates of the party visited the governor recently, they listened to him and literally concluded they were young, committed Nigerians, good party people, and they said they were taking his message to the others. It was nice to see these Guba candidates, very intelligent young men, listen to the governor and say, we think people have not understood your position well. We are going to carry it out. I believe that the process is still ongoing, that the more people understand that the governor is not fighting for himself, but is just standing by the truth and urging for what's right to be done, the more this position that they are holding today will get weakened and the right thing will be done so our party can come together and do what's needful. So Wike can stand for the truth for as long as it takes. He's not the kind of person who will suddenly, for convenience, say what's right, it's wrong, or what's wrong is right, just because others see it so. He will continue to push and hope that ultimately others will see the truth and
Senator,
do what's right.
If things continue this way before the end of the month, and if things don't change, would you support the party still to win the governorship and presidential elections?
We have candidates who are also PDP in our state.
I mean presidential.
So presidential.
Yes.
There are things that, like at the minimum, there are 5 governors with Wike. They are leading what position they have. I'm sure they will consult amongst themselves. They will consult other leaders. They will consult widely, and they will take the decision.
What about you?
Take. Me?
Yes.
Oh, I'm a good party member, and I have principals whom I listen to the discussions they have. I participate in some of these discussions. I don't take unilateral decisions. I don't make decisions.
So you vote wherever they ask you to, whoever they ask you to vote for.
It's not like that. You're trying to ask me if we vote for people other than PDP candidate.
No, I'm asking you, if things continue this way, will you, as Senator Olakawogo, support Atiku Abubakar's presidential bid?
I will tell you that our desire is to vote for our party.
No, not ours, yours, your desire. What is your desire? What will you do?
I belong to a team, and but what I will do is I'll do what my team decides to do.
Senator Wogu, Governor Wike lost out at the primaries. How does the National Party chairman stepping down heal his wound? Perhaps you'd like to tell us, let me quickly add what the other demands are, and if this is the only demand of the Rivers State governor.
The genesis was that our constitution says we'll take power. And Wike and the other governors of the South met at Asaba and agreed that the next president must come from the South. In fact, they were encouraged among themselves. Those who want to run should run, but they should make sure that they support the South. That was for the Constitution and as people from the South. It turned out that some governors from the South did not do that. They supported the candidate of the former vice president, who is from the North, and he won. Now, Wike says, if that is the case, no problem. Let's give something to the South on which we can also campaign that the South is not left out. The national chairman himself came out and said, if this happens in the North, I will go. So it was like the only consolation for the South. You want to take the gold, the silver, and the bronze. Meanwhile, there's a consolation. The man who came second should probably take silver or take bronze if he came third. Now, the North is taking the gold, the silver, and the bronze. And we're saying, give something to the South. He's a leader. He is going to go around the country because he has supporters in the North and the South, and he's not anti-North in any way. He's a full Nigerian committed to the Nigerian cause. Now he says this has gone to the North, give something to the South so that we put some unity into our ticket. And what we're finding is that people, I don't want to use strong words, but it appears that somebody just for acts of dishonor says, no, we will not do this anymore. I haven't agreed to do it. And at this point, Wike, if you know he does not stand for dishonesty, he cannot stand for dishonor. He's taking it almost like a crusade simply because the dishonor stares all of us in the face. How do you expect him to go out and canvass on the basis of something that is dishonorable? He said, give to the South what belongs to the South, give to the North what's in the South. No, the North already, Wike has gone beyond the presidency, but president or vice president. He does not speak on it because he's accepted the outcome. He has gone to congratulate Atiku Abubakar in Atiku's home. He's gone beyond that. He has nothing against Atiku personally. But he's asking Atiku, asking the NEC and everyone else. Yes. Yes, please.
Thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning. We sincerely hope that the crisis or, you know, I'm very reluctant to use that word crisis, but the issues within your party reach an amicable resolution. Senator Olakawogo is a member of the People's Democratic Party and also a member of the PDP Reconciliation Committee, and he joined us via Zoom from Port Harcourt. Thank you so much for coming on this morning.
Thank you.
Well, Prince Eddie Olafeso, do you want to quickly give us 30 seconds you have?
Let it be on record that I did not come here to defend anybody, but to defend my party. I'm nobody's lucky, and I'm independent enough, and I've suffered, you know, a lot of defeat in this party to understand the fact that the party is supreme. And whatever anybody is advocating, he must bring it to NEC for ratification. And you must work as hard enough to convince every other person that your position is right. You see, I have said it 1,000 times on this program that the easiest recipe for absolutism is for is for a group of people not to go through the process that the party already laid it out in its constitution in terms of effecting certain changes that they feel is very important. The critical thing today is for how to redeem, to rescue this country, to rally our people, create a formidable team that can begin to have a new deal with the Nigerian people. I am for that, and I cannot speak for anybody. Whatever decision they have taken, they took amongst themselves. I'm a member of NEC, a former National Working Committee. My desire is for this party to grow so that we can leave a legacy of a new beginning of hope to the Nigerian people. It's a frustrating time for everybody.
Mr. Eddie Olafeso,
thank you.
We wish you a smooth resolution of the issues within your party.
Thank you.
And he is the former zonal chairman, Southwest of the People's Democratic Party. Thank you for speaking with us this morning. I'm
grateful.
We'll take a break at this moment and we'll be back shortly to look at the life and times of Queen Elizabeth II.
Queen Elizabeth II, the UK's longest-serving monarch, had a tenure that spanned post-war austerity, the transition from empire to Commonwealth, the end of the Cold War, and the UK's entry into and withdrawal from the European Union.
To increase life chances for the most disadvantaged and to strengthen national defences.
She was born in Mayfair, London, as the first child of the Duke and Duchess of York Her father acceded the throne in 1936 upon abdication of his brother, King Edward VIII, making Elizabeth the heir presumptive. When her father died in February 1952, Elizabeth became Queen Regent. At the age of 25, she reigned as a constitutional monarch through major political changes, such as troubles in Northern Ireland, the decolonization of Africa, and the UK's accession to the European communities and withdrawal from the European Union. In 1953, she was crowned at Westminster Abbey in the first major televised international event, and sales of TV sets surged as people gathered in their front rooms to watch the ceremony. Her reign spanned 14 prime ministers, starting with Winston Churchill, born in 1874, and including Liz Truss, the country's new prime minister, born 101 years later in 1975, and appointed by the Queen earlier this week. She had also met with 14 US presidents. Her reign spanned 13 Nigerian presidents. She visited Nigeria twice between January and February of 1956 and in December of 2003 to attend the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting, years after she granted Nigeria her independence in 1960, though retained as head of state and Queen of Nigeria until 1963. In 1977, the Queen toured Britain and the Commonwealth for her Silver Jubilee, reiterating her vows of service. The celebration was a ray of light in a period of economic gloom, industrial decline, and a series of industrial disputes. The lowest point of her reign was in 1992 when her first son, Prince Charles, separated from his wife Diana following a tell-all book. Her second son, Prince Andrew, also separated from his wife, and her only daughter, Princess Anne, divorced her husband, while Windsor Castle was seriously damaged by fire. Then there was Diana's death in 1997. Things brightened again when the Golden Jubilee came along in 2002, and Britain once again showed their support for the monarchy. In 2012, the Queen once again toured every region of Britain ahead of a 4-day party marking her Diamond Jubilee, while other royals made visits across the Commonwealth. The monarch followed up with a starring role at the London Olympics, appearing alongside James Bond, actor Daniel Craig, at the opening ceremony. When the coronavirus struck in 2020, the Queen was forced into isolation, but she continued to carry out her engagements online. She braved through the passing of her beloved Prince Philip and his funeral in April 2021. Fears for her health grew later, after she spent a night in hospital out of an abundance of caution. Perhaps the last time the Queen was seen was at the celebration of her Platinum Jubilee in June this year, when she appeared on the balcony of Buckingham Palace for a few minutes and waved, much to the delight of the crowd. And after 70 years of service, Her Majesty, loved by Britons and around the world, passed away peacefully at her home in Balmoral Castle. Amarachi Ubani, Channel Television News.
Well, yes, you can hear there's been some discussion going on backstage. Ambassador Joe Keshi joins us right now, and he's been telling me about why he was concerned about, when he heard about the doctors putting the Queen under supervision, and how he dealt with that information. Perhaps we'll start from there. When you heard that, that the doctors had not kept her under supervision and were informing her family members, it suddenly was in England, wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It became clear that the end was near,
yeah.
and we actually wish it wasn't going to be so. But for a lady who has spent 96 years on Earth, been on the throne for 70 years, had seen children, grandchildren, even become adults. And the nation itself that she's leaving behind in a better, stability. Yes, there are divisions, but certainly much, much better than when she assumed office. I think, it was time to probably let her go.
Indeed. But do you think that the world still was ready for that?
I think the world has been ready. Look, let's be honest with ourselves. Once your parents get over 80 and 90, you just begin to prepare, knowing fully well that they're already in the departure lounge, and it's a matter of when the flight will take off. And, in this case, actually, I can't remember whether it was the BBC or the Sky, television that said that all the arrangements for the Queen's funeral had actually been laid out. What they need to do now is to update it. And really, and I think this is what a number of television houses around the world, they've done. They've already prepared how they would react immediately the Queen departs. And this is why it came as no surprise that you all almost immediately suspended whatever you were doing and started telling us about her glorious life from when she came to the throne, I think in 1952 or thereabout.
Well, a remarkable reign that she had. 70 years is no mean feat. And for a number of people, looking at the changes that she has had to undergo, go through, there'll be questions as to, how was she able to take in all of that, to see an era where from the end of the World War to the Cold War era to the more globalization, to the use of technology, to then she saw a pandemic, etc. For a number of people, she really showed remarkable grace, being able to take that in. Isn't it something you'll agree with?
Yeah, remarkable grace, remarkable leadership, and for a queen who doesn't rule but reigns, even more remarkable. I think I said somewhere last night that she has seen about 15 or 16 prime ministers.
Wow.
And nobody has ever heard what she told them. Nobody has ever heard about her conversation with anybody. Nobody has ever heard what she said about politics itself. Nobody has ever heard her opinion on the divisions she might, of course, she's briefed by the prime minister, frequently, and whatever opinion she has about ongoing-ons in United Kingdom and advice, it's offered to the prime minister. But you never heard the Queen come out and interfere, in the political crisis or political games in the United Kingdom. And I think this is one of those things that made her reign remarkable, and the way she comported herself, the humility, the dignity, that she brought to the office itself. Not to talk, of course, of her grace and the beautiful outfits, and of course, if for those of us who came through the British colonial system, getting used to the British, the television, have also helped us to love the monarchy more with all the wonderful ceremonies, the marriage of the Queen's kids, and
her grandkids
as well. The grandkids,
yeah.
Everybody just glued to watch these events. And so it's really been remarkable. And so I think modern communication has also helped to project and promote the monarchy. And I love the way they call her Majesty the Queen of England.
Well, let's go to Lagos now for some questions.
Well, good morning, Ambassador. I mean, having seen all of this play out, she was head of state to 15 countries. And Commonwealth was really dear to her. How do you think Commonwealth will look without her, given the fact that there were some protests, some threatened to pull out some time ago?
Well, I think that protest has subsided. Commonwealth is probably more stable than, today than before. If I remember that the Commonwealth started as a nation of 6 members. Today it's grown, to 50 or so. I can't remember how many members of the Commonwealth now. And in the last couple of years, she has virtually almost delegated the responsibility for managing the Commonwealth to the new King Charles. So the tradition she has set in place with regards to the Commonwealth, will continue. And there are a number of other countries who are not even English-speaking or colonized by Britain has also joined the Commonwealth. So the Commonwealth will continue to exist, and I strongly believe that King Charles III will maintain and exhibit the same leadership in terms of the Commonwealth.
Ambassador Keshi, you talked about colonialism earlier on, and I'd like us to talk briefly about that, the downsides to the reign of the Queen. Under her reign, when she took office, there were 8 countries that were being colonized by Great Britain. But as things progressed, she began to preside over quite a number of colonies. And there are some that are not so enamored by her reign as a result of the underdevelopment of Africa, by colonialism. Do you think her reign being remarkable trumps, colonialism? How do you weigh in on this?
I always have a different opinion, and I'm sure one of my former lecturers will probably criticize what I want to say again. We got our independence in 1960, like a number of African countries. 60 years was enough for us to put behind us colonialism and all its, bad sides or downsides or whatever it is. We had the opportunity, or we still have the opportunity within this last 60 years, to have made our nation one of the great nations, part of the, great nations of the world. We cannot continue to look back. We must continue to look forward and to the future and see how we can take care of our problems, solve our problems, and grow up, as I always like to say, and become part of the developed world. For us to begin to look at what happened more than 60 years ago, her role and so on, the fact that she even went ahead, to help create the Commonwealth, to bring together all some of these old nations, that, the new independent state is a measure of our wisdom. And to a large extent, there's been the good side of the Commonwealth at the end of the day, particularly when it initially started in terms of education and assistance to the new states. So I don't think that we should, talk more about the Commonwealth and colonialism and what colonialism did to us. I think 60 years, it's enough or has been enough for us to overcome all the vestiges of colonialism.
Many will say more than enough, actually. But, there's something very interesting you said the other time, and I like you to speak to it. You said she reigned and not ruled, and I find that very, very interesting. If you can explain, for those who may be wondering what's the difference, especially in the light of the fact that in the UK, we said it, in passing earlier, the system seems to operate, should we say, double layers of authority, where there is a democracy and then there is a monarchy. Is there something to learn from that interesting, power arrangement?
Remember that as a nation itself, we started with the same parliamentary democracy, where we had a president and we had a prime minister. It's similar to what obtains today in the United Kingdom, where you have a monarchy and you have her government headed by a prime minister. It is a prime minister, her ministers, and the parliament that officially governs the United Kingdom, but the Queen reigns as the head of state. And this is, or rather, this was why I said earlier on that even though prime ministers have to go to her to obtain permission to form a government, They also have to go to her to dissolve the parliament. They consult her on almost every issue to seek her views and wisdom. But she certainly, during her lifetime, maintained the dichotomy between the two offices. And this is why it's difficult for anybody to come out and say to you that at certain time during her 70 years, the Queen intervened in this kind of crisis or was part and parcel of this. No, even if she had an opinion, it was something she expressed privately to the leadership to the Prime Minister and to some of the Prime Minister's colleague. But she never got directly involved with the politics of the nation. But I can assure you that she was as knowledgeable, educated, informed about happenings in the United Kingdom and around the world like any other leader you can think of. So in that sense, she reigns as the Queen, as the constitutional head of the United Kingdom. But in terms of policy matters, development, implementation, decision-making on a day-to-day basis, that has been left to the Prime Minister, Parliament, and officials and the civil service.
Ambassador, it sounds like you're saying that we need to have a Queen Elizabeth School of Government somewhere. But perhaps there is also then some, not just lessons, but you started earlier by talking about the fact that we've had more than 60 years of independence. Consequently, we should have our heads screwed right now. But here we are. So in terms of our governance style, leadership style, we've moved from the parliamentary system to the presidential system. Do you think in that change, going by what we had before and what we have now, do you think we lost anything, or you think something we need to pick from one and infuse in the other to make us a better governed nation?
No, I think the problem is not really the system as much as the characters, the people, the quality of the people that have assumed leadership, in this country. Look, when power was transferred a few days in the United Kingdom, I sort of felt that maybe we should have actually stayed with the parliamentary system, in which, something similar could have happened occasionally in Nigeria, where if a particular prime minister or party is not doing very well, you don't have to wait till election time, 4 years or 8 years, to kick the guy out of office. And like what happened a few days ago, it was the country itself has not voted for a prime minister. But the party felt that the leadership they had in the person of Johnson has failed, not just the Conservative Party, but, the nation itself. And they felt they needed a new leadership, to take care of and then direct the country. And almost invariably and seamlessly, as they've done in the past, they went ahead and changed leadership, without significant crisis. But under the presidential, we have to wait for 4 years, good or bad, suffer the consequences of bad leadership, and then, But look, it is not the system per se that it's wrong. It is the character of the people, their understanding, their knowledge. Look, we borrowed the Constitution. We borrowed extensively from the Constitution of the United States, but we lack the discipline to run the kind of constitution that we are implementing. And this is why, there's a violation of the rule of law. Simply, the president of America cannot violate the rules and then go scot-free. Just like the British Prime Minister, why was Johnson removed? He didn't steal, like we do in this country. He didn't commit any serious crime, simply because he lied. He lied to the people. That was all his crime.
Let me ask you about the future, because right now it's long live the king. That's the new mantra in the United Kingdom. Prince Charles has now become the new king. I think that there's going to be an official ceremony, perhaps tomorrow or thereabout, officially, making him, officially making him king. But right now, his new title is the King of England.
King Charles III.
Indeed. So what changes do you see for the people of England as he takes over the throne?
I think there will not be more dramatic or any immediate change. Look, one of those things that they do within the British system vis-a-vis the monarchy is that right from when the heir apparent is born, they begin to train them, you know, for that possibility that they could be the next monarch. And I think, let's be honest with ourselves, Charles himself is 70 years old, or no, 70 plus. He has learnt a lot, and in the last couple of weeks and months, he has actually started deputizing for the late mother. So we should expect that he will continue in that form and continue to build, to uphold the monarchy. I just think that the challenge he would have moving forward is that, look, the world itself is changing dramatically. The younger ones, they love the monarchy, but, you know, a young lady told the mother, said, you know, I love the Queen, but, you know, anytime I go to the shop and I buy something, the tax on two pence tax goes to the monarchy. And that makes it difficult for me to be able to purchase all the things I want to purchase. And so she wondered whether, you know, if they can remove the monarchy so that 2 pence, you know, goes. Now, this is the mind of a relatively young, you know, lady. And this is the danger. You know, the world is changing dramatically. The younger ones have complete version of the future, you know, and worldview. And so it will depend on how he comports himself, how he manages, you know, the throne. If she does as well as her mom, I mean, his mom has done, yeah. You know, I think that, you know, he will reign well enough to hand over to his own son.
What do you think will be the greatest legacy of the Queen?
For me, I think the greatest legacy was that she maintained and upheld the dignity, the prestige, and the office of the monarchy. When you see what she's gone through, you know, in terms of, interestingly enough, not so much a national crisis as much as family issues that brought great pressure, you know, on the monarchy itself. The magnificent way she managed all the crises, the family crisis, and yet retained, even when she lost a bit of, should I say, public support over the death of Princess Diana, the divorce first, then, you know, she managed over the years to regain that, you know, to bring everybody together around the throne. And I think that's the greatest lesson that Charles should learn, and try to emulate the mom and, you know, provide that leadership, that wisdom, you know, that enabled the mother to reign for 70 years and die so gloriously that not just the people of the United Kingdom are mourning her, but the rest of the world, particularly in the Commonwealth.
Ambassador Joe Keshi, thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us this morning.
Thanks for having me.
Well, we have a few of your mails with us. We have this one from Festus Akimboyewash. He says, as Queen Elizabeth II has gone to be with her maker, Nigeria needs a servant leader and a team player like her in 2023. May the soul of the departed Queen Elizabeth II rest in peace.
And from Festus, let's quickly take this one on the PDP's internal crisis. And Isioma Chibolo is writing. She says, the crisis in PDP is really because the presidential candidate is from the north. We cannot finish 8 years of a northern president, then embark on another northerner. There has to be a sense of fairness and need to carry everyone along. With the situation now in PDP, there is no fairness. So many are not happy, but are not voicing it out openly. PDP should have stuck with their zoning arrangement. Then there will be peace. Fair is fair.
This tweet says, Senator Iyorchia Ayu mentioned that if the presidential candidate emerges from the north and the party asks him to step aside, then he would step aside for the sake of national unity. Has the party asked Ayu to step aside? No. Only one man has personal issues with Ayu. Perspectives.
Well, this one comes from Bimbola, who says the problem with the PDP is an old Nigerian leadership problem. They know what has to be done, but refuse to do it just because they don't want to hurt their friends. Then they create terrible alternatives that come around to bite us later. Amnesty, subsidy, you know it all.
So shall we say as in politics, so also in policies? I don't know. You're the one who's watching and you're the one who has to vote. Well, thank you so much for sending your feedback today and throughout this week as well. Thank you for watching. I'm Maokwe Ogun Yusuf.
I'm Ayo Makinde. Have a wonderful rest of your weekend.
Indeed. Thank you so much for sharing your day with us. Have yourselves a lovely weekend ahead. I am Bukola Samuel Wemimo.
Yeah, and I am Chamberlain, so goodbye.